So this is the next video in the series of love and sex zodiac signs, and this video is on Scorpio, which I believe is the 8th symbol if you put them in order. And if you're a Scorpio, then this applies to you or if you have a lot of other planets, not just the sun, but if a lot of planets in your astrological chart fall in Scorpio, this will apply to you. So, the book goes something like this. The second water sign of the zodiac, Scorpio, is under the rulership of the hard-driving, warlike planet of Mars. But interpretation of this sign is complicated by the fact that there is also present the co-rulership of the more recently discovered planet, Pluto. We are not yet aware of all that Pluto may contribute to influence the sign of Scorpio, but certainly we can surmise that Pluto accounts for the many unexpected events which often color the lives of the Scorpios. Scorpio is symbolized by the scorpion, and within the sign lie the elements of great nobility of character in thought and action, as well as those traits of complete debasement. Astrologers associate the head of the eagle and the belly of the snake with subjects who are born with their sun in this sign, or who have Scorpio as their ascendant or rising sun. With so much area to bridge between the snake, itself a sex symbol and of great interest to psychologists, and the eagle, which can soar to great heights, it is not surprising that we find Scorpios to be dynamic and passionate people. The degree to which they relate individually to the snake or the eagle depends on the degree to which this dynamism and passion is expanded. Some Scorpios take the purely animal approach to sex. This attitude can be quite destructive to themselves or to their partners. On the other hand, sex may be a great idealistic experience, even with its erotic connotations, which can stimulate both partners to achieve success in whatever they choose to do. Scorpio children cannot be ignored. They have a way of making their presence felt. Some do it by being constantly in the public eye, such as Richard Burton, who is considered by some to be both an actor of genius and a lover of outrageous daring. Yet although many Scorpios are newsworthy, and though it may seem that the whole of their private lives is paraded before the public, subjects of this sign are most secretive. Scorpios never give away their innermost thoughts, ambitions, and desires, and generally they are greatly amused to read what is said of them in the press. They continue leading their personal lives unperturbed as to their public image. Scorpios are naturally disdainful. What others think of as no importance when they reach a point of self-awareness, except as it is reflected positively on their profession or their financial status. Scorpios are born in one of the strongest and most intense signs. They are prodigiously inclined to sexuality. Natives of this sign can indulge in prolonged periods of sexual excess, which would wreck the health of other less strong persons, physically and mentally as well as emotionally. Scorpio seems to derive a fantastic amount of inspiration from sex. The more energy he is able to transmit to his love, the more energy he is able to generate. And if there should be a surplus, then this additional energy is directed into creativity of another sort. The Scorpio who denies sex is generally quite negative, and going against all the positive traits of the sign. He becomes sick, miserable, intolerant of himself and of others. He thrives when given the opportunity for a hectic sex life. He is galvanized into thought and action, and is able to fulfill his destiny with a positive zest for living. Scorpio looks upon every moment of the day as an exciting experience. He will follow the course of his destiny with courage and stamina that can be almost terrifying for the more timid to behold. There is a marked degree of arrogance in a Scorpio who is highly evolved. When his pride is hurt, he turns into the living embodiment of the symbol of the scorpion. He has a compulsion to hit back hard and to use that virulent sting in his tail. But the highly evolved Scorpio has also learned discipline and knows the value of waiting. A wrong committed years ago against the Scorpio may have elicited a certain immediate combative reaction, but the Scorpio will continue to support the affront for a long time, and no matter how much time has elapsed, sooner or later he will take revenge. Sometimes he himself may get hurt in the process. just as the insect scorpion will use its own sting to inflict a death charge upon itself when all seems lost. For the Scorpio, even death must take place in an aura of drama. Although the Scorpio subject enjoys sex that leads him into an intense love relationship, he is also cunning enough to know he can get the best of many worlds by combining sex and love, with the possibility of gaining an advantageous social position and perhaps a good deal of money thrown in for full measure. He can never endure the thought of limiting his horizons, even in marriage. Scorpio is the ultimate in opportunists, sexually, romantically, and professionally. For this reason, he rarely gets through life without making enemies. Scorpio inspires great depth of love, but he generates an equal proportion of hatred as well. His haughtiness and self-assurance can deal pitilessly with both of these major sentiments, for he is too capable of burning degrees of love and hate, and accepts these qualities as part of his destiny. If the lusty sexual instincts of Scorpio are not adequately fulfilled in his own domestic life, and it must be admitted that he can make heavy demands on his partner, then without any soul-searching or remorse, he seeks gratification elsewhere. His inscrutable nature holds sway, and he is discreet enough to manage an extramarital affair while maintaining his domestic life without interruption. He is quite convinced that no one is likely to suffer from his escapades, and indeed it is possible that no one is the worse for the situation. The wife can be happy, the paramour content with a fascinating, intriguing relationship that does not demand too much of her time, while the Scorpio is quite able to cope with the whims of both his lady and loves. If the Scorpio is in public life or highly placed professionally, he will consider his need for sex and love more important even than those aspects of his existence, but he has a built-in mechanism that makes him careful to be secretive, discreet, and fully protected by an impenetrable scorpion-like armor which public opinion and public curiosity rarely penetrate. The most notorious trait of the Scorpio woman is that she is jealous, especially of a lover or a marital partner. She does not need to be reassured in words as to his love so much as she must be given constant visible evidence of it. She must be secure in the knowledge that she is loved, that she is desired sexually. Then she will flourish and be the worthiest companion that any man may wish for. She wants her lover to be all men woven into one. Strong, willful, and inclined to be domineering, she can control many of these traits, or for the sake of sex and love, if she believes that the object of her passion exceeds her in strength of character and ideas. Weakness is her bête noire. Once a partner in sex or love shows evidence of this defect, she begins to despise him, and shows it through sarcasm. As her partner's weakness increases, her own negative characteristics come to the fore more readily, and she becomes tyrannical. Love for the strong-minded, heavily evolved personality of the Scorpio female has some of the propensities of animal life in the jungle. The Scorpio female acts like a great, languid cat. She knows she is capable of destruction, but she deliberately holds back her force, subjecting herself willingly to her mate's caresses and attentions for as long as the mate sustains the image of strength when she is first perceived in him. Such is the frailty of human beings, however, that often it is a fact that the female Scorpio is more dangerous in terms of upsetting romantic equilibrium than her lover. The most willing male, desirous of sampling the favors of a Scorpio woman, can suddenly find himself a failure when it comes to meeting her sexual demands. Then the jungle cat goes into action. The Scorpio female will destroy her romance as quickly as she was conquered by it. All subsequent emotional conflicts is unimportant. The sting of the scorpion that she visits on her lover is not only of her defense weapon, but it provides her with the means of killing herself dramatically, even if symbolically. Then, as the mythical phoenix, she rises again in a new drama. Just as sex is a great driving urge which can be a positive experience for the Scorpio, so the same sexual energy, transmuted into other forms, can be a force of self-destruction and the destruction of others. There is no masochism involved in this, no desire to continue suffering emotionally for the sake of suffering, just a fatalistic acceptance and a wish to see the complete end of something that has gone rotten. The Scorpio acquiesces to the principle that from a sharp, almost bitter, end there often emerges the means for a fresh, vital new life. There is nothing of sweet delicacy about the typical Scorpio woman. The Mars-Pluto influences are so strong that she is usually volatile and earthy, as well as dynamic. Love for the Scorpio, both male and female, is not a thing apart. It is his life force, often the total reason for his existence. Debase that love, and the Scorpio strikes back, first at the time of the debasement, but also again and again as time goes on. As one would expect from the acuteness of the emotions of subjects of this sign, marriage can be a hazardous business, and love affairs also carry a degree of danger. Both are either sublimely happy or entirely the reverse. Though highly sexed, few Scorpios are likely to indulge in perversion. They seem quite content to get along with century-old sex practices and consider lovemaking to be a thoroughly enjoyable adventure to be shared by a man and a woman. They are apt to despise a man who appears to be unmasculine, or a woman who is negligent or offhand as to her femininity. As with all who know the heights of love and depths of hatred, Scorpios go through periods of brooding depression when they are best left alone. They can rarely be cajoled or amused out of their doldrums. They can accept these moods as part of their basic personality contour. They know that just as moments of ecstasy must come to an end, so also must the moments of despair. Partners who understand this can maintain a relationship without fussing or feeling hurt, will have delightfully exciting Scorpio companions whose boldness of spirit can carry them to heights of love they would never dare scale on their own. No Scorpio ever wishes to be free of sexual responsibility. While subjects of other signs may shrug their shoulders when forced into a state of temporary celibacy, Scorpio cannot accept this state of things. Immediately, Scorpio will shop around in search of a new sexual encounter. He is unable to rechannel his sexual energy completely into creative endeavors, and although this is a very creative sign, there is no substitute that fulfills the burning needs and desires Scorpio have for an adequate sexual relationship. Scorpio sees sex and ultimate love as his whole life. Everything is relegated to a position of inferiority. Scorpio can find time to enjoy sex, indulge in love, and continue in his professional world with equal intensity. It is an intensity that pervades his entire personality and character, and it is evident in his creative output, generally in the realms of art and literature. Any concept of the Scorpio bears on the mark of originality. No sign of the zodiac brings with it a higher potential for success than Scorpio. But this success is all relative to the degree of sexuality and love the Scorpio subject can find within the orbit of his activities. It is absolutely vital for any Scorpio considering marriage to be sure of his partner's loyalty, which must be given as freely as love and sex. Without loyalty, the Scorpio subject fades away, not to the point of dying of unrequited love, but nevertheless with enough hurt to cause him to make a determined effort to seek that loyalty elsewhere. Scorpio is rarely dominated by his marital partner, but when the elements of sex and love are strong enough, the Scorpio can give the impression of appearing to be dominated. The fact of the matter is that Scorpio has a subtle way of retaining his individuality at all times, so that he is never submerged into anyone else's personality. The female Scorpio sees her love as her prince consort, but never as her king, although she may certainly stimulate enough desire in him to make him feel like alone. Consequently, he makes every effort to further his personal ambitions and seeks to upgrade himself in every way. Both sexes are capable of inspiring those they love. They take great interest in the success of their partners, believing that two famous or successful heads are better than one. They interchange with their partners emotionally, basking in the limelight by turns, and they can be perfect foils for their partner's talents. Even though this may be true, it is wise to note that any man who defects from his once avowed love for a Scorpio woman finds himself dealing with a Virgo. If hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, then there is triple hell in store for the man who counts the love of a female Scorpio and leaves her. And that's a little introduction to what you might be like if you got lots of signs in Scorpio. So stay tuned for the remaining 4 signs. See you later.